Of all the most busted groups of characters I've ever seen, I got every Joestar on the higher end of fiction. I'm not gonna lie. We're about to see how strong a team of every main JoJo would be. Grabbing 2 specific JoJos alone would solo most of these verses out there, and you gotta charge to the game at that point. Now, let's begin. Starting strong, Giorno Giovanna. Here's what Giorno has to offer the team. Life Giver, Gold Experience, has the ability to give life to inanimate objects, turning them into living organisms. This can be used as both defensively and offensively, converting enemy attacks into something harmless. You can heal, cloning, or creating animals with, some unreasonable toxins. As for the next one, there's Life Shot. When using its ability on a living organism, it can drastically increase their senses to the point of experiencing actions in a slowed state. And along with that, Gold Experience can speed up an already existing life form's life through its ability, for instance, making a plant grow faster and even wither like instantly. And then finally, there's what makes Giorno now. There's GER, which is Gold Experience Requiem, and its main thing of Return to Zero being the most potent ability that it has to offer, as it can nullify any action or the will of the opponent, well, it's more so making it essentially unbeatable in a 1v1 scenario. It operates on a level beyond time and space, able to revert actions and phenomena to a state of 0. This gives the team an impenetrable line of defense, well, depending on who they're fighting, but it gives a good option for offense. Plus, Giorno can most likely play the long game better than most characters. It was also a battle technician, but I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna mention this every time, Every Joestar and their mother is a battle tactician. That's like one of the things about every one of them. It's like the Joestar specialty to be like, oh, okay, I can see how this battle is in my favor. And another thing, this goes without saying, honestly, but I guess for those that aren't informed, every one of these Joestar is light speed to massively faster than light speed in terms of combat. It's just it. All right, that's it. As for Giorno's father, in this case, Jonathan can only really help as muscle and as a guy with a sword. And I love Jonathan to death. People think that, oh, Kaleb's the Phantom Blood guy, which is, I'll take that on, But I think that he's a character here that could work really well with other Joestars if they give him the chance to shine. But for the most part, I can't really see him doing that well alone. And well, what about Joseph? Some would say. And I'd say, I guess it depends on which Joseph. If we know that Joseph is in his youth and, he'd be good with knowledge and strength, it'd be cool and all, but I think that the utility of Hermit Purple would be largely helpful, as Hermit Purple's main ability is to divine information, By using any object or material in conjunction with Hermit Purple, Joseph Joestar can display any information he wishes to see. Thank you, JoJo Wiki. Which means in areas where information is required to figure out the opponent, the Joestars have the means of interrogation, basically. And that's always largely useful. But then there's Jotaro next up, the big dog, with his Star Platinum. At first, you have Time Stop, because we're not going to get that out the way. One of Star Platinum's his only formidable ability against everybody else is his ability to stop time, initially for a few seconds. The power is not just a defensive tool, but an extremely incredible, potent offensive tool, allowing Jotaro to land critical blows without any sort of counter from enemies. He also is very precise, precision, speed. Star Platinum is very known for its incredible precision and speed, and able to, catch a bullet, fired point blank range, and even outspeed literally everybody almost. And this makes it a fantastic asset in high speed battles where precision might be key. And as for its strength, it's just unreasonable, incomparable to a lot. It's capable of, I guess in the context of JoJo, he can break through walls and barriers and material as hard as diamond with ease. And he's just really, really good. He's a very decisive factor in battles with completely devastating blows to the enemies. Now, as for synergy, where we're at now with the characters that we have at least, a combination of Time Stop and Return to Zero could create scenarios where the enemies are caught on a loop, unable to move forward due to this continuous reset, and it gives the Joestar team a very considerable advantage in terms of controlling the pace of the battle and jumping that other person. But let's keep it going because we've only covered like 4 of the 9 Joestars here. Next up is Josuke Higashikata, another high caliber stand with strength and speed similar to Star Platinum, but instead of the ability to stop time, Josuke gives us an even better option of healing than Giorno. I guess that's arguable. Now, Crazy Diamond's power is to restore objects and, people, everything to original state. The ability itself is extremely potent, not just for recovering from injuries, but also for its strategic uses, like in the way that Josuke had defeated Red Hot Chili Pepper, or the way he had beat Highway A Go-Go. But, I guess from what I've mentioned so far with the characters that we have, that might seem like there's a lot of room for coverage, So I'm going to give it a bit. I'll skip forward to mention Josuke again. Josuke Higashikata 8, Gappy, other nicknames, I'm not sure. Now, he is a high contender for having one of the coolest abilities ever, which is Plunder. Now, Plunder, Soft and Wet, has a unique ability where it plunders aspects of a person or object, essentially stealing a property of that thing. It could take away a person's sight, friction from the ground, or even water from a person's body. These are really early chapter examples. This ability opens up a wide range of strategies for incapacitating enemies in both direct and indirect ways. Now, with the next step of this stand being go beyond, and I just indirectly summoned metas here, it's legitimately over for many people. The bubbles can phase through any barrier, moving through solid objects without damaging them. This ability is able to bypass obstacles, making them unpredictable, very hard to defend against because, what are you going to do? In addition to that, the bubbles are also theoretically non-existent, allowing them to bypass certain stand abilities, such as the Calamity triggered by pursuing Wonder of You or its user. Now, upon the bubbles materializing, they can erode anything that they touch instantly, displaying an incredible destructive force, but they also burst with another, massive amount of force. That's like 2 end of the story stands that bypass impossible defenses in a row, but we'll get to the other one later. Now, after this, Jolene Kujo, for a character that doesn't have, compared to the other characters, right? She doesn't have this sort of bonkers time causality bending type of ability, but she's gone so far, and she gets really far here, especially with the applicability of Stone Free. Because with Josuke, for example, she can get so far with Stone Free without any repercussions, as Crazy Diamond is now there. In addition to that, because of the distance that she's able to provide, a lot of the close combat stuff that'd be difficult for a lot of the users that we have here isn't so difficult anymore because, she has a lot of string. There's also the other Josuke who needs help directing his bubbles of death, and Jolene is most likely able to guide them like it's nothing, similar to the way that she guided the bullets away from her, potentially. That's what I'm thinking. Now, Jodio, he's got some heavy rain. That'll be good, later. I'm not really sure now. We gotta see what else he has to provide his abilities. He's really new. Now, look, all right. If you had any doubts, which I probably doubt now because we've already mentioned all these other unreasonable characters, the icing on the top of the cake is Johnny Joestar in Tusk. Tusk Act 4 is Johnny Joestar's final stand form, harnessing the endless power of the golden spin technique, with feats that defy physics and dimensions, including breaking through the protective barrier created by D4C's Love Train, a stand that can redirect misfortune away from the user, making them virtually invincible, except until Act 4 walks into the room. And Act 4 can apparently also slightly move during stop time. We saw that with Diego. And it's also defying gravity. Its signature move involves imbuing a target with the infinite rotational energy upon touch, causing them to spin endlessly down to their cells, ultimately disintegrating them and potentially sending them to a different universe or dimension. And this effect is irreversible completely and follows the victim across dimensions, continuously forcing them back to the point where they were first hit. That's what we saw with Valentine. Now, the only way to counter this is with a reverse spin shot by Johnny. He has to make the choice of doing so. Now let me do this thing real quick, because I know that people been using my audios from the videos for TikTok edits. Hold on, let me do this, all right? So if you thought you were getting away from the collective of these characters, you didn't. If you thought you won, you didn't. there's no escape because you can't escape from crossing fate. These are the Joestars, and they probably solo your favorite verse. That probably messes it up because now I'm aware of it, and usually people just do it with videos like I'm uncompletely aware of, and it's just like cool things that I've said, but whatever. Viewers, please give me a team who you'd like to see fight. Everyone here, you know, maybe excluding JoJo for a bit because we have to get some more feats. But aside from that, yeah, I'd love to go about any verses with them, but I'm trying to find a good middle ground, you know, as there's some teams where it's like, okay, a lot of these guys are like building level, so it's like really easy, but then there's stuff like Lovecraftian horrors beyond comprehension, and like, okay, obviously we're not doing anything to that, it's not leveled, we need to find some good even ground. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Hopefully I'll see you all on the next one, and until then, peace out and Godspeed.